Go. So we're going. Hello, everyone. This is Doug Wilkerson with Saturday Night Live and Life Recovery. And we started with Dr. Willie. And anyway, I welcome you guys that are here and then all of you out there in internet land. I think we're going to have a good night. Of course, I say that probably every week, but I plan on having a good night every time we're here, right?
Yes, sir.
Or, that's my intentions, but tonight's topic is going to be good. We're going to be covering out of Step 8. This is our first week of Step 8. So this is the first of the month, the 8th month, so Step 8. And the step is this: we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Now, one thing I want to say about Step 8 is that Step 8 is about becoming willing, okay? We're starting to compile that list. We're starting to step into thinking about what maybe some folks that we'd harmed. And also you probably need to put on your list yourself, because you probably harmed yourself too, right? But this is not that we're doing anything about it. We're just compiling the list. We're thinking about it. We're getting ready. We are becoming willing to make amends for what we've done. And that's what Step 8 is about. It's getting ready. And it's, we're usually very hard on ourselves, and oftentimes in particular ways. Sometimes we're not so hard on us in some other ways, but that could be a beneficial tool to recognize that when you're hard on yourself, you're trying to, like you were talking to me about quitting smoking. You're having to work on changing something, and you have to stay on top of that, and you kind of do have to be hard on yourself. You have to be diligent. You have to be keep that mind geared or mindful what's going on. And then after, it's kind of like also, anybody here ever learn how to ride a bike or do something? After you had to focus on what you were doing and you had to stay with it. How about this? Have you ever ridden one of those hoverboards?
No.
Oh.
Too old.
Well,
I'm not even willing to try.
Yeah, well, a year ago, I got on one, and I got on one and rode it probably a 50, I don't know, it's 50 foot, 100 foot loop, but I went really slowly, and I was very careful, and I am convinced that if I really, really wanted to, I could probably work on getting comfortable with it. Because my grandson, he can ride that thing and slide and drift and stop on a dime, turn around, pick up stuff off the floor while he's moving. And so he's really good at it. I don't know that I could get that good. I don't know that I could bend down there, and I don't know that I really should risk the potential fall. But the point here is, you have to be really hard on yourself to try to learn anything, and have to be diligent. You have to be consistent. You have to be you have to not give in. But then after you've mastered the skill or learned or broken the habit, after you learn how to ride a bike, then you can just almost do it without thinking, right? It's kind of like driving a car, right? You can do it now, because most of us drive the car now without thinking, because we're thinking about something else, right? So that's my point. But oftentimes in some situations, we never ever accept the fact that we've reached a certain level of being competent in what we're doing. So we're always beating up on ourselves, because oftentimes we're perfectionistic in particular areas, and there's no good enough. It's always, you got to do more, you got to do more, you got to do more. That's kind of a sideline here. I didn't mean to get drug off into that. But we're here, we're wanting to be willing, okay, to become willing. We're working on our willingness to help us to make some hard changes in our life. And you may have to be diligent. Well, you will have to be diligent. You may have to be tough on yourself. But that's not the way it's always going to be after you got it down. Would you agree with that? Okay. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And we're going to be Willie is going to be doing the step, and it's going to be unintentional sins. This is out of Leviticus 4:1-28, and Tommy will be doing the reflection. I'm going to be talking about, and I don't think I'll be able to get all the way through it, but it's the 10 steps, the 10-step forgiveness protocol. 10-step forgiveness protocol. And because what getting ready about here is looking at forgiveness for things. Tonight we're talking about the unintentional sins, or the unintentional mistakes, or the unintentional harms that we've done to others and even to ourselves. And we're going to be talking about that, and the way to navigate through some of this, a lot of it is through forgiveness. Okay, forgiveness is a big deal. I asked for next week that we go ahead and stay on forgiveness, because I figured I'll be covering some of this next week too. So how about that? Does that sound? That was my plan, and so we'll be doing that. So let me just read this, and it says this is Judith Eve Lipton, MD, that was in an article from Psychology Today, and actually it was entitled the Forgiveness Protocol. She asked this question. She says, "What do you do if you find out that you have hurt or harmed someone, and you want to revive the relationship or even improve it?" Well, that's kind of what we're talking about, right? That's what recovery is all about, isn't it? Hello?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She goes on and says, "How do you make a complete, complex, and healing apology?" Isn't that a pretty good question to start off with? How? Let's say it again. How do you make a complete, complex, healing apology? I think this would be really good to learn some of this stuff that addresses the injured party's pain and possible need for retaliation. What do you think about that?
I think there's a thing in there that says only make amends as long as it doesn't do harm. So if they want to retaliate, maybe think about it.
Well, but the fact of it is, it's without doing harm, and that would be that person doing harm, not us doing harm. What this retaliation is talking about. And so knowing, trying to learn, see, it's about, one of the biggest things, probably 80, maybe 85% of forgiveness is about you. Is about you fixing you allowing God's grace to come in and touch you and heal you emotionally, right? And when you're better, when you're healed, when you have worked through that forgiveness, you're no longer spitting fire everywhere you go. You know what I'm talking about? Hello? Then you affect everybody around you differently. And when you do that, when you change, everybody around you seems to be affected.
Well, Jesus shook up the Pharisees, which they thought was a bad thing, but it was for their good, and they retaliated. And then Jesus said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do."
And those type actions really affect people, because it's outside the human normal reaction. And forgiveness is would it be safe to say is not a real human normal reaction?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So anyway, she says that she has this formula. She calls it a formula and a recipe to that she would give to her patients, because she's a PhD, an MD, and particularly parents who have harmed children and couples who've been wounded by adultery. So, these are some interesting things, and she says she's taken it out of the Alcoholics 12 Steps, also a Jewish prayer of forgiveness, and the bedtime Shema prayer. And so, anyway, we'll try to go through some of that. And I found it to be interesting, and I think could be helpful. And you can tell me what you think. How about that? Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. Sound interesting so far?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see. Let me find that. That wasn't on my list of quotes while I was meditating and praying, I thought about it. I know hopefully it's here. There may be one that I erased. Is that it? That's not it. Well, I really want it. Let's see if I can find it real quick. How about it? Is that all right? Can you give me a second?
Yeah.
This is a quote from Carl Jung, and I've read it before a long time back, but while I was praying, it came to me, and I said, "Yeah, I need to quote that today." I hate to not have all my quotes and notes ready to go, but I feel like that I can't, because I have like 4 pages of quotes here, and I try to, I don't print them all out. But anyway, Dr. C.G. Jung, this is goes to him. He says, the psychological rule says that when an inner situation is not made conscious, it happens outside as fate. That's the first sentence. And what he's saying here is, as I understand it, and that's what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with stuff that we have tried to bury consciously into and turn off, put it in the dark, all right? Hurts and pains and things that maybe traumas that we had. It says that when an inner situation is not made conscious, in other words, when you haven't decided to deal with it, when it comes up, instead of trying to push it back down or numb yourself out, you know what I'm talking about, numbing yourself out, then what happens, according to Dr. Young, is that it shows up in your life because actually it's coming out of you, but you find the situation that matches your inner conflict, and you say, well, that's just fate. It's just an accident. Really? Is it?
Self-proclaiming prophet.
The next sentence is, that is to say, he restates it, when the individual remains undivided and does not become conscious of his inner opposite, the world must act out the conflict. So some people say, well, why do I need to come to peace in myself? Why should I even consider being willing to make amends to people? I'll just hate them till I die. Well, you're going to affect your life. You're going to negatively affect your life. You're poisoning your own soul and everybody around you to some degree. Can you see that? Does that make sense? Yeah. And so, from psychological terms, this is what Dr. Young was talking about. But his daddy was a preacher. his daddy was a minister, okay, and so he says these things, and I think that they're truth, and God is truth, and God says the same thing throughout the scriptures, and that's what we're talking about today. Okay, you don't have to accept that. You don't have to believe that out there in internet land. Okay, you don't have to accept anything I say, but if you just listen maybe for a little bit and consider, or maybe think about it and see what bubbles up in your own thinking. Who knows? You might have more freedom in your life. How about that? Sound like a possibility? That's what I want. That's what Saturday Night wants. That's what Central Christian Center wants. That's what God wants. So anyway, we'll stop right there, or who knows? We'll talk more about it later. How about that? So, are you guys ready?
Yes.
Come on down. Welcome the band.
We haven't come up with a name yet.
That's all right. The band is good for me.
All right.
We could call it Jimmy and the Band. There you go.
You know, I've been throwing around Van, Jim, and the Maestro. I haven't talked to the guys about it.
Maestro.
That's what I call it.
Glory story.
It's an honor to get to play with music geniuses. But I'll cut out the flattery.
Now you're all good. Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you. Maestro.
I don't need a big time. I got everything that I want. Well, I got more than I for. I don't have to run around. I don't have to stay out all night. I've got a sweet love and Savior, and he knows how to treat me right. My Jesus, he's alright. Yeah, my Savior, knows how that he is. I know I'm the Lord. I know I'm the Lord. And he holds me in his arms. You know, sets my soul on fire. But when the Savior's loving me, my whole heart becomes filled with desire. When he wraps his loving arms around me, I will drive me out of my mind. And the Spirit is in me, chills up and down my spine. Yeah, my Jesus, he's alright. And my Savior, he's down. You know that he is some kind of on the road. Some kind of on the road. Some kind of on the road. Gotta be the Savior like mine. Got to be somebody. Gotta be the Savior like mine. And I get
did sing I'm a Man earlier.